Your brother's soul is mine. You will be next.
Hello everyone and welcome to Action RPG Build Guide Edition. Today I'm ready to drop on you my new and refreshed Wheel of Torment Warlock. This is one of my favorite Warlock builds since 1.0 has dropped. It can push high corruption. It's honestly just a blast to play. And in this video, of course, I will show you how to make your own Wheel of Torment Warlock. Everything is timestamped in the description below if you need to bounce around. Let's not waste any time and jump right into this. All right, starting off with some gameplay. Now, the way you want to play this is pretty simple. First thing you're going to do is you're going to hit Chthonic Fissure, and then you will just start hitting Soul Feast. What's cool about this build is you don't have to aim at all. You could literally be running backwards and clicking Soul Feast, and you're going to be ripping the tormented fragments out of the enemy. You also get 2 free movement skills with this. Since Chaos Bolts, Rip Blood, and Bone Curse are auto-triggered through Chthonic Fissure, we're allowed to put Transplant and Profane Veil on there, and you can use it whenever you're in trouble. Oh, this was a fast one. All right, let's do one more. And we're off. All right, so I boosted up the difficulty a little bit. Show you some tougher gameplay. And again, you'll notice pretty tanky. As long as you're attacking and you've got your Chthonic Fissure out, you're going to be leeching a ton, and Twisted Heart's going to be doing a ton of work. Come here, Prophet of Ruin. All right, let's go fight 3 bosses. All right, Spirits of Fire bosses. And again, as you can see, if you look at my mouse cursor, I'm not aiming on them. I can hit them without actually targeting them. It doesn't matter where they are at. Pretty simple. 3,700 life. At times, almost 10,000 ward. And kill threshold should be kicking in right now. Done. Let me show you how to recreate this build. So now let's check out the skills, starting off with our mastery skill, Chthonic Fissure. And I will show you the order in which you want to take these nodes. Now for this skill, the first thing you want to do is actually go left, up, and grab this node, Chaotic Rupture. This is going to make it where Chaos Bolts are automatically come out of your Chthonic Fissure, so you never have to manually take them. So you want to go this route first, and you want to grab Of Gloom and Flames, which makes it where your Chthonic Fissure is twice the size, so obviously it shoots twice the Chaos Bolts and twice the Spirits. So this is what you want to go first. You then immediately want to come down and get Damned Waters, you want to get Twisted Waves, and you want to get Grim Tide. And these nodes are very important for the build. Some of the most important nodes: Grim Tide, Chthonic Fissure, and Ailments and Inflicts deal more necrotic damage, multiplicative per 1% added crit multiplier. And this node right here, Twisted Waves, Torment deals more damage multiplicative per 2% uncapped necrotic resistance. For this build, you want as much uncapped or as much necrotic resistance as you can possibly get. Now, this build is mana hungry, so I have 3 in the Fragile Crust, and then I put 1 into Fellfire and 3 into Tomb Gorger, which is just going to boost your multiplicative damage of your Torment. So that is Chthonic Fissure. Moving over to Chaos Bolts, and again, remember, you never have to click on this yourself. The first thing you want to do is you want to come up and down, and then you want to get Extracted Liberation, which is going to make it where your Rip Blood is auto cast. Then you want to come down and over, and then you want to get another affliction where your Bone Curse is auto cast. So your Chaos Bolts you don't have to trigger, your Rip Blood you don't have to trigger, and your Bone Curse you don't have to trigger. It is all done through Chthonic Fissure. And it's going to help you with Life Leech, it's going to help you with Mana Leech. It works really, really good. You then want to come down and get Condemned to Chaos, and you want to get Mania and Flames because you want the Ignite chance and the Damned. You then want the multiplicative damage based upon having ailments on the enemy. And the last point right here, a Grave for 2 dot per missing health. But get these 2 first. Rip Blood, not really a big order here. What I did is I came down first and got 5 into splatter. I then came over and turned it into ward gained and made it a necrotic spell. I then boosted its damage, and then I came up and over to get more ward back from Rip Blood. Okay, now you have 1 point left over. If you can handle it when it comes to mana, you want to put it right here, which is going to double your Rip Bloods. But again, it is very mana hungry, so that's up to you if you can gear it. Moving over to Soul Feast. Ooh, I like Soul Feast in this build. On here, the first thing you want to do is come left, and you want to get Hellmind, and you want into Waning Life, which is going to be necrotic penetration and dam chance per intelligence. You then want to come up, and you want to get mana. Again, mana hungry builds. You want to make sure you never run out of mana, and this will help a lot when it comes to fighting rares and bosses. You then want to come down, and I have 5 points into Bones of the Accursed. Now, if you want more ward, you want to take it in this setup. If you want more damage, you're just going to move 1 point right here into Grim Affliction, which is going to give you 35% multiplicative damage, but half the ward. So this one is just totally your opinion. Sometimes I run it with damage, sometimes I run it without it. In the gameplay you just saw, I ran it without it. Last skill, Bone Curse, and it's pretty much in its basic setup. First thing you want to do is come down and over, turn it into a necrotic damage curse. You then want to come to the left, and you want to get Marrow Thief, which is going to give you bone armor chance on kill for some survivability. You then want to come up, and you want to get Brittle Bones, which is where you're going to get your kill threshold, and then come to the right, and you are going to get Slow Duration. This last point is extra. I just put it in mana efficiency. You could put it in armor shred chance. You could put it in area. I just put it here because, again, mana hungry build. Those are the skills. So now let's check out the passives, starting with the base Acolyte tree. You want 8 into Forbidden Knowledge, 6 into Stolen Vitality, 1 into Mana Immortality, and 5 into Unnatural Preservation. Now again, you want as much necrotic resistance as humanly possible, and you're almost going to max your necrotic resistance in this first tree, because you've got 6 Vitality and then you've got 60 necrotic resistance, so it's set up perfectly. You're then going to move over to Warlock, where you're going to put 83 points into. You want 5 into Soul Stealer, mana. You want 5 into Occultist Mind, mana and intelligence. You want to put 6 into Spirit Leech, which is going to keep you alive. You're going to get some ward, but this note is very important. Ward decay threshold per 1% necrotic resistance. Again, if you can get this build to 6, 7, 8, 900 necrotic resistance, this note is absolutely huge to make sure your ward is always up. You're then going to put 5 into Harrowing Armor, which is going to help you with staying alive. You're then going to put 5 into Dark Protections, which is going to give you damage reduction, help you stay alive. You want to make sure you have 100% Withering, because this is also going to give you less damage taken while withering, help keep you alive. We will go over the middle part last. 10 into Body, Intelligence, and Vitality. 5 into Chaotic Strikes for your double damage. 5 to Wreak Havoc, which is going to give you your crit strike multiplier, which, if you remember, on the Chthonic Fissure tree, you're going to get a bonus to your Torment based upon your critical strike multiplier. We are using the Ashes of Mortality ring, so you do want to put some damned on yourself, and you're going to get that with Aspect of Death here. And then my final point, I put in Encroaching Darkness, so that when you're dealing with single targets, you're going to put an additional curse on them for anguish. Now, these middle points right here, we are using Witchfire. So you want 5 into Chains of Ruin, which is going to give you Dam Chance. You want 5 into Infernal Lash, which is going to give you Ignite Overload. So Damned Overload, Ignite Overload. Then you're going to boost this through Witchfire, and then you're going to further boost Witchfire. So you're going to be tormenting enemies. You're going to be hitting them with Chaos Bolts. You're going to be hitting them with Bone Curse. You're going to be hitting them with Rip Blood. You're going to be hitting them with Witchfire. They are just going to be getting hit by a million different things. Damage feels really, really good. On Lich, the final 10 points, I put it right here in Apo, which is just some mana regen and intelligence. Now, if you make the decision that you don't like Witchfire, which I really do, but if you wanted to spec out of this middle here, you can come over to Lich, and you can put points into necrotic damage. You can then put points into Crippling Insight, which will give you 16 intelligence. So if you want to go a little bit into the Lich tree in order to get Crippling Insight, you can, but I like having Witchfire. That is your option, and those are the passives. Moving over to last Epoch tools, where now I can show you blessings, idols, and preferred gear. Starting with the blessings. In here, we are mainly spec'd in, actually, we're all spec'd in survivability. You want Void Resistance, Lightning Resistance, Crit Avoidance, Endurance, and Physical Resistance. For idols, you want all life. Double life, 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 life. This will get you close to 4,000 life. So take all life and survivability idols, okay? Now, looking at the gear. So on here, this is pretty heavy when it comes to uniques. Not all of them are required. The only item that is actually required is the Wheel of Torment staff. Now, what makes this staff incredibly powerful is normally you need Chthonic Fissure for Torment, where Wheel of Torment actively torments the enemy and rips it out of them. And that's what you see during the gameplay, all those little fragments of torment getting ripped out of the enemy. It also gives you haste, it gives you necrotic penetration. It is an unbelievably good item, and you could play it as a one-button build because it has a chance to actually cast Chthonic Fissure on rarer bosses. So you can play it that way if you would like. So we're using Wheel of Torment staff. We are using a Bone Clamor helmet, which is going to give you 1 ward per 3% uncapped necrotic resistance. Again, get as much necrotic resistance as possible. We are using Ashes of Mortality, which is going to give you a boost to your damage, a boost to your cast speed, ward retention, and give you a boost to your ward based upon hitting damned and ignited enemies, which all the enemies will be, and you having any ignite and damned on yourself, which you will be damning yourself. The last unique we have here is Twisted Heart. And again, this is going to give you 2 level, it's going to give you cast speed, and it's going to boost up your ward as well. So it works very, very well with this build. Now I'll go through the other items one at a time. Oracle Amulet. Necrotic Resistance is the Exalted Affix. Armor. Necrotic Resistance is the Exalted Affix. Belt, you get it. Necrotic Resistance. Boots. Gloves. And ring. Okay, so that's the gear, the idols, and the blessings. And if you come over here looking at the character sheet based upon this configuration, and to be clear, for the Merchant's Guild and Circle of Fortune, this stuff, I only added 1 tier 6 Exalted Affix. All it is a singular tier 6. 807 necrotic resistance. 100 to intelligence. Maxed resistances. Maxed endurance. Endurance threshold 760. Crit avoidance 107. So you're going to have close to 4,000 life. You're going to have maxed resistances. You're going to have maxed endurance. You're going to have maxed crit avoidance. And you're going to be sitting between 4,000 to 10,000 ward while you are playing. Pretty tanky and beefy build. Aaron, this is great. How do I make my own Wheel of Torment Warlock from level 1? Okay, great question. Now, some people agree with this and some people don't. I level all of my Acolytes the exact same way. Doesn't matter if I'm a Necromancer, a Lich, or a Warlock. First skill I take is Summon Skeleton. And I remove warriors, and then I come down and get Fire Arrow. So they just sit back and shoot enemies, and it's easy to level because they're always clearing the whole screen. Second skill I take is Summon Bone Golem, and I come here and take Tower of Bones and Fragments of the Fallen. So I have my tank, my little meat shield right here with my Golem. Third skill I take is Summon Volatile Zombie, and I come up and I get Kill Threshold with Pull of the Grave. And this is what I am actually spamming. So you are spamming zombies while your golem is generating threat, while your archers are killing everything. Those 3 skills. I like leveling with minions because, again, they clear the entire screen. So you get fast levels, and it is very, very simple. It's just, you kind of just turn your brain off. And on top of that, you always want to put an unspec'd transplant on your bar. You'll actually see for my build, which I should have mentioned earlier, is that Transplant and Profane Veil are not spec'd, but they're on my bar because I don't need those other skills. So you actually get 2 free movement skills through this build. Last little thing you should know, looking at my gear right now, which I just showed you, Wheel of Torment, it unlocks at level 75. So you actually can't fully spec into this build until you can actually put on your Wheel of Torment staff. That being said, if you want to start it earlier, it's the exact same build, only you have to take this node. Grand Imprint. Soul Feast no longer requires the targets to be cursed. You can just hit them in an AoE. So if you're using it before 75, Grand Imprint. But then once you hit 75, you do not want this node anymore. That's how you level it. All right, everyone, that's the build guide. What do you think of my new and refreshed Wheel of Torment Warlock? Is there anything I missed? Is there anything I do to push us to the next level? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. 2 asks at the end of the video. Ask number 1, I'm hoping today is the day I have earned your subscription. I'm hoping today is the day you make the decision to push that little red button. I would really appreciate it, but of course, only if you think I've earned it. If I haven't earned it, I'm going to work harder for you. Ask number 2, check out my Patreon. I get asked all the time, what's the best way to support? Patreon is it, and you get the most added benefits, the ability to live stream audio and video, access to the VIP lounge, access to custom content. We're having movie night tomorrow, where we're going to be watching Beetlejuice together as a Patreon group, and we have game night coming up for Patreons, where we're going to playing our own custom server of V Rising's launch. So a lot of fun stuff on Patreon. Check it out, first link in the description. I'm done. Hopefully you're entertained or at least learned something. Aaron, out.